I still watch movie every now and then, just remind myself of what I did.
I know, you got it.
We have 10 years.
I'm still ready.
North Carolina. This is now everything starts with one mom. That's just I have more information on selling toxic which has not only in the factory, but through the lunch. We have a lot of activity going on. So PFAS is the way out. This letter is sent to the US EPA. And then we were talking about Okay, ready now?
No, just they do. Yeah. I you're the top.
I'll show it back. Yes. You have to sit up. I said, come sit on. Did you bring your can? Sit on your lap. Who's taking it? You got a team down here that's doing real hard work too. Well, Shannon, you just did a big. You just did a great article. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here, but I have. Oh, yeah. I met you. Oh. Yeah. I've been getting a lot of new trouble.
Y'all get by. I was gonna see what the pictures look like.
Yeah. How is Still, she's doing good. I call it Facebook, but I can. Where is your guys' crew? So I'm glad you guys came out. I think some of you I've met, maybe some of you I haven't. Were you at the meeting last night? Yes? Okay, so most of you. So that was my video there. So I'm sorry I couldn't make last night. So I have a daughter, I have grandkids, we had just a little hiccup. But Gigi, that's me, had to be home with the grandkids for the whole weekend. So mommy needed me and I was there for them. However, I want you all to know on Saturday night, movie night with grandkids. I said, what are we watching? And they're like, can we watch Erin Brockovich again? I'm like, no. Which took 4 hours to get through the film. Every half hour they had to stop and ask a question. But it's always good to be back and to see you all. And again, I'm sorry I missed last night. That's why we're here today. We can do some catch up. We'll be in Rome tonight. We were just out there and just had a press conference. And what I would have said to you last night, what I truly meant, Dalton started this, and I don't know that you all know, and I need to remind you over and over again, the courage that it took for individually and for community to stand up. That's what always starts the ball rolling. Every single situation I've put my hands on over 30 years usually starts with one pissed off mom, and then she finds her little group, and then they become 5 and 10 and 20 strong, and then the community starts showing up and speaking up. And that really catapulted to where you are today. I know that you had senators from either side of the aisle there, and they need to work together on this. This is not a right or left issue. This is everybody's issue. This is going to become a state issue. You are not alone. And it's just frightening to see the fallout and how big and the magnitude and the scale of this situation is going to be.
And as I was sharing this morning with the press, and it isn't meant to, be, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, and it does feel like that. But I want people to understand this isn't a water municipality that got contaminated, that has new filters, which they need, and the appropriate reverse osmosis system to keep it out of the municipal water supply. It goes way beyond that. And I don't know that everyone understands about PFAS and this chemical. And so you have leaking landfills everywhere. You have people who dump everywhere. This goes to the waste system. Then they use it as sludge. Then it gets spread as fertilizer. Then it contaminates the farmland. Then it contaminates the water. And then it's entered the food chain. That's why it's called forever chemical. So at every level, we could be uptaking this from our water, from our land, to our food. But I have learned, and I believe, communities can't do their work. They can't defend themselves if they don't know the truth. And oftentimes, for a whole host of reasons, the media isn't covering it. There's so many other things that are going on. They don't understand it. They think this may have been resulted in that, and then it's all over. So I want people to know the importance and the significance of this chemical. And you're not alone. This is going to happen in probably every state in the United States of America. It's already happened in Maine, and people need to know, those that have cattle, those that have chicken, that if they're drinking the water and they're eating off the land, they're uptaking this chemical. And in Maine, they've had to kill their cattle. They can't eat their chickens. They can't eat the eggs. They can no longer organically farm. They've lost all certification. And it's a very scary scenario. But all of this needs to be known, so we know more about our health impacts, how we can protect ourselves, how we can get early checkups, what happens with the cattle. And now in Maine and in Michigan, you can no longer eat the deer, and you can no longer eat the fish that you hunt. It's all been stopped. So the more we know about this, the more, and I hate to say it because I hate politics, but we are going to have legislative actions. And your representatives, my representatives, everybody in Maine, everybody over there in DC, I can't think of anything that is more valuable to individuals in this country as a whole, other than your land, your water. You guys are a food basket and our food chain and our health. So it's ballooning on us. And I know it feels scary. It is certainly overwhelming to me. I can't imagine how you feel. But the more we know, the better we'll get, the stronger we'll get, the more we can get some legislative action, the more we could look at cleanups. There is a hopeful side here if we'll just face the truth. And once we do, we can begin cleanups. We can begin action. We can begin to do the right things that are safeguarding our health and our family and our land and our food chain. We're on our way, and it won't be a process that will be done tomorrow, but we're on our way, and the fight is worth it. And there are many other states that have been before you, that now join you, and there's going to be many more that will be aboard. Bob and I have talked about this. There is that this is going to be an entire country, if not an entire global issue. So, the hardest thing for me is I always feel like the bearer of bad news. When I come to communities, I cannot tell you how many times I'm at a party somebody's invited me to, and somebody will inevitably ask me a water question. Well, an hour and a half later after that conversation, everyone's like, oh my God, don't invite her again, because it's a difficult conversation. And we hate to wake up to, are you leaving?
Please forgive me. I have to be up in Chattanooga at the station.
That's fine. I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
That's the information.
Okay. You know how to reach me? They'll let you know.
I'll find
And
out.
I'll talk with you.
Thank
You guys
so
do a
much.
great piece.
Thanks so much, Erin. We appreciate you.
See you.
Bless your
All
efforts.
right. It's a bearer of bad news, but I deal in reality. And when we face it, we learn that we're much stronger than we think. And I just think it's time for us to stop sweeping these things under the rug. I get mad about the PFAS situation. I don't know if Bob gets mad at me. He's ignoring me, which he usually does. It's good he's laughing because it's true. This whole thing began with 3M and notifying the EPA that this was going to be a problem. Decades ago. I wrote about this in my book, Superman's Not Coming, and it really upset me. They notified them that this could be a problem. So the EPA created a guideline based on no science. And that's the standard that was set. Why wasn't it 400?
Originally 400.
400.
And it
PPB
dropped
or
to
T?
80.
Was it parts PPB or T's? No, it's
T,
PPB.
T.
T's?
T.
That's the municipal rule. So you can run up to 400 parts per trillion through your system. Well, in 2016, the science came out. And the EPA's off-duty is when they get a notice, they're going to have a problem, is they have to commission a study. And those studies cost a lot, millions of dollars. And a lot of time in order to find the science, follow the science, and conclude what it means. So in 2016, we found out. And it was Houston, we have a problem. So the EPA at that moment has now got to start sending notifications to the municipalities. We're going to drop this to 700 parts per trillion, 70 parts per trillion, 70 parts per trillion. The first state to make a move and said, we're going lower than that was 15 parts per trillion. That was in New Jersey. But so what happens now is everybody's getting notification that you have this contaminant in your municipal water, let alone people not knowing if it's in their well water or in their ponds or been spread on their farms or been uptaken by their cattle or chicken or anything else. So now the municipalities are like, we don't have a filtration system to bring it down to that level. They send out notifications to the customers. Who do you think the customers call? Me. I mean, literally my system was ready to crash. Is this why my son has testicular cancer? Is this why my wife has thyroid cancer? So now I'm starting to see the patterns of this chemical coming in from the communities, and not one community, multiple communities, and not in just one state, multiple states. So now we have a huge health problem. So it's pretty frustrating. I often say, you know, Superman's not coming. We have this idea that agencies are out there to protect and defend us, and that's generally not what's happening. So I'm all about giving you the best information that we have, that you can learn, that you can know, so you can begin to protect yourself, your community, and begin to band together. That's how all of these things work. I do see a little shift, I hope, here in Georgia, where there was some indication last night that you've got both sides of the aisles up there willing to work together on what's not, it's going to be an entire state problem. But the hope doesn't have to stop, and the hope will come when you get to a doctor early, when you're able to treat yourself earlier, when able to understand what's happened to your animals, whether it be you no longer eat your own chicken eggs, all of that information, and the more we know, could lead us to, and it's going to take the type of legislation to initiate clean up. Bob will tell you that. There's ways to remove it, isn't there, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Come on.
This was my break time.
No, there's never a break for you.
So where are we
Y'all
at?
know Bob. Well, I was just sharing with them because it's always such a hard conversation because this has gotten so big. You've heard what I said. You've heard me. Were you not listening to me over there? Wow. That there can be, and legislation can push hard, and I want to see that
Right.
on ways to clean this up.
But what we need to do is we need to work on cutting it off at the source. Okay, it's still, coming from the factory storm ponds today. It's still coming off the biosolids we know have been applied today. It's still coming out of the wastewater treatment plants we know today. And the technology's there to start addressing it. It's not going to be easy. But whether it's the soil that's contaminated, the water that's contaminated, we need to start getting in. We got the data set now. We can tell you where, but let's go ahead and, for those of you that are under 1,000, I apologize. I'm not diminishing it. But let's just start treating everything above 1,000 that's moving onto someone else's property today. And in about 10 years, we'll be halfway there. I know that just sounds pretty daunting, but that's the reality of it. When you've got springs flowing at over 1 million parts, you have to identify the source, you have to cut it off, you have to treat it. We can treat that spring when it comes up so that it stops contaminating the pond that overflows into the creek, that goes through 10 neighbors' yards before it makes its way to the river, and then it's off to Alabama. Okay, we know where the sources are. We've done over 4,000 tests. We can tell you where the hot spots are. We've got property that literally there's a daycare center sitting, the playground for the daycare center is sitting on 10,000 parts. So those are the kind of things that we need to get after right away. It's just, it's the only way we can do it. So the technology's there, the drinking water systems, okay? There are drinking water systems that are going in under construction right now that will solve this problem. The manufacturer, DuPont, was manufacturing it over in Decatur, Alabama. It was flowing downriver to West Fork and East Lawrence. They put in a reverse osmosis water treatment plant. I went to the ribbon cutting 3 years ago. So they're getting clean drinking water today. Rome is under construction. Calhoun's next, Chatsworth, Dalton, they're all going to eventually have treatment systems. But while they're focusing on getting it out of our drinking water, they need to understand that it's that property upriver that has biosolids on it. It's that wastewater treatment plant that continues to discharge. That's just, quite frankly, you're a very fortunate community in that you have rivers and streams and ponds and lakes. I come from Southern California, never. Okay, you guys here, it's what's the old saying? It's like a horse going on a flat rock. I mean, it just goes everywhere here in Northwest Georgia. And it's going to continue until we address the sources. And quite frankly, a lot of the people that have the sources out there are continuing to allow it to flow off their properties knowingly. They're running around complaining, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, horrific things, but yet they're still allowing 30,000 parts to come out of their stormwater pond and go into a creek and go right down the street to a neighbor. So that's the problem. Back at you.
Thank you.
Is it at all practical to start using God's plants like sunflowers and ground ivy and industrial hemp to start sucking it out of the soil and degrading it?
It can happen. We're working with a Native American tribe that's actually doing it in northern Maine. So we do know about that. We're working on it. And the way it works, okay, the easiest way to understand this, I wasn't planning on even speaking or getting technical, but I'll get a little technical for you, is the biosolids that are out there. They were predominantly put on what they call forage crops, meaning that they didn't want to put them on lettuce and strawberries, nothing like, picking a strawberry out of a pile of poo, right? But it's okay to put them down for alfalfa and soybeans and corn that are used as silage or to be fed to animals, okay? So that's where, a lot of it went. And so a lot of this alfalfa and things like that, they can take those biosolids. What we found is that these particular plants, carrots, potatoes, things like that are carbohydrate, that are predominantly sugars, PFAS doesn't really go into those parts of the plant. They follow the protein side, so they go into the leafy greens, okay? Nothing more leafy and greener than hemp, okay? And so they're actually studying where you can go on the land, plant the hemp, and it will suck up the PFAS, much like the alfalfa, but it'll bind it in a more solid root and in a more solid vine. And then it's not wasted. They're actually charring it. They're actually, they're actually burning it at a temperature that destroys the PFAS and creates a char material that can be used to go out into the world and absorb more PFAS. Okay, so granular activated carbon that you get in your Brita filters, the black stuff, the little chunky stuff, it can be made from wood, it can be made from lignite, it can be made from bituminous coal from West Virginia. It's predominantly was invented in World War I for the gas masks when we were basically killing people with chlorine gas and gas masks. They put coconut carbon from the Philippines in it. And what happened at the beginning of World War II, MacArthur lost the Philippines. So we needed a new source of carbon. So they went to West Virginia and they said, hey, can we use your coal? they commandeered Pittsburgh Coke and Tower in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and started making gas mask coal for World War II. Okay, what they did was they found out you can take any carbon source, you can take biosolids, you can take hemp, you can take anything with carbon in it, char it into a black char, ash, and then activate it. And that activation, it does not absorb, it doesn't like suck it into the sponge. It adsorbs, which means electronically it connects to the carbon molecule and it can never be freed up. So you have a pile of charred hemp full of PFAS, you just rechar it and it can go in a continuous process. So
See, what a great question.
Can I ask?
Good
one
question.
Because it's
Somebody keep
for
us on
communities, it's important to know things that they could be doing in their own backyard,
Yes.
on their own farmland to help. So great question.
And it is
Sorry.
legal to grow it, but when I talk to legislators about this, they say, well, it's illegal though, and someone's gonna try to smoke it, industrial hemp. And I try to explain to them that that's not.
That's a really stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but how do they
No.
get around that? Do they mark it? Because so that people don't go in there and steal it?
I don't know how they're doing it. I know about the project and I've investigated it and looked at it. There's talk about targeting a certain type of mushroom. It does not, okay. If you've heard us talk about the effects on the human body, it's called bioaccumulation, okay? Anything biological. A snail that goes across the ground, sucks up PFAS, a duck eats it, a duck eats 100% of the PFAS in the snail, and then a hawk comes and eats the duck, it eats 100% of the PFAS consumed in that duck, and it just goes right up the food chain, okay? The same thing happens microscopically. And what I mean by that is people say, we've been able to clean up gas station leaks with biology. Well, bugs love to eat gasoline, okay? And they excrete, a bug will fart out methane just like everybody else, okay? And that's what happens. And so the bugs go and they eat the hydrocarbons and they fart methane, okay? That's how they take care of our trash in landfills. With PFAS, however, the bug eats it, farts methane, and quite frankly, excretes 100% of the PFAS. So a little bug going through the soil will eat 1 PFAS, 2 PFAS, 3 PFAS, 4 PFAS, 5 PFAS, and leave a little bit of a chunk of concentrated PFAS.
Did anybody just video that for me, please? Please?
I love.
Somebody videotaped that, didn't you?
We'll do a TikTok dance.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the farm in Summertown, Tennessee, and Albert Bates, who was very, very advanced on this biocharing and as a sustainable way to do a lot of different.
Oh, biochar is great. They could literally take the biosolids that are going to the landfills right now. I understand that there's a couple people around here that are actually looking at doing it. And biochar, it is not incineration. Let's make something very clear. Incineration is to burn into nothing, have off-gas problems, all kinds of issues with that. What they do is, for those of you that made chocolate, it's called pyrolysis or parboiling. You put a pot with chocolate in it into a boiling pot of water. It's the same thing. They take these big kilns, and they're cast iron kilns, and then you put another kiln inside of it, and then you put the biochar in there, and it literally gasifies it. There are people, I'm not going to get on the politics side of it, but they're talking about a gasification plant around here somewhere that's currently being cited, where they'll take the methane that does come out of the biosolids and use it for natural gas, and then they will take the PFAS and destroy it. You end up with, at the end of the day, a big old pile of bird poo, okay? And then what happens, you can put that in. Have you seen when you go along a construction site and they take the hay and they put it in those twisted things to keep the sediment from running off they're for erosion control? Okay, you can take that same biochar and blow it into a long pantyhose and set it around a storm pond. And when the storm pond starts to overflow, it goes through that biochar and sucks up the PFAS. So those are
Again, his name is Albert Bates.
in Tennessee.
At the farm, which is the big old hippie commune that started back in the 60s,
Sure.
70s. And they're in Summertown, Tennessee.
Summertown, Tennessee.
He does a lot of this kind of stuff. I just thought you might like
Yeah.
to know that.
Biochar is the same thing. You can. There are people that are taking corn stalks. You can take soybean vine. They're biocharing all kinds of material. And much like I was talking to a gentleman, I forget who it even was. So coconut carbon does not remove PFAS. So if you go to the local hardware store and you get a filter for your refrigerator and it says made with coconut carbon from the Philippines or Sri Lanka or wherever they're getting it from, it will not take out PFAS. Okay, you need the stuff, you need the bituminous material that comes out of Australia or out of West Virginia. I mean, it's a domestic product. It doesn't even have a tariff on it. It's the stuff that will actually absorb it. Because the electromagnetic activity that causes the absorption is different depending on the type of material. Okay, so a sock with biochar in it from a biosolids plant, it's going to take out biochar, or it's going to take out PFAS, just not carbon in a water treatment plant is going to last a year. A biochar cleanup sock for a stormwater thing might last a month. But then you just scoop it up, put it back in the char plant, put a new one down. Okay, it's better than 30,000 parts of PFAS leaving your factory and going to Alabama tomorrow. But that's what we're allowing to happen.
So in some parts of the nation, they use hair to absorb contamination.
What is it?
Is that something that you do for PFAS hair? Because a lot of beauticians have been taking hair and trimming it and donating it.
It's a carbon source. Hair is a wonderful carbon source, and it's already semi-active. Okay, that's why if you're taking a balloon to your hair and
Right.
okay, hair is a wonderful carbon source.
So do you think that might work?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's the problem is volume.
Because I was also told last night by someone that does hazmat, he said, ask me about hemp. Well, that was already brought up.
Hemp, hair, but what do we have more of than hemp and hair? Truckloads of poo going down the roads in Northwest. And it doesn't sound sexy, but it works.
Do you have a poo dance? Because I'm not going to get over that dance. I'm just not. So, just so you know, I'll never see you the same. Bob is the best at explaining these things, and so why I had to come up here, Bob. And to my point, they absorb a lot of daunting news.
Yes.
But if we can provide you information, more knowledge in ways even like this, it's your own location to begin even a process of reducing what you have. There are options and there are solutions. And yeah, legislation is pretty hard to deal with. How long did it take in California to get a Chrome 6 legislative work done? We don't want to scare you, but it did take 20 years.
Yeah.
But
If
you
I were
have
to have another
counting
grandchild
out.
today, and I were to start a regulation for drinking water, not wastewater, not landfills, not land, drinking water. And my grandchild were born today. My grandchild will graduate college before I have a regulatory standard in the United States.
Now, you mentioned reverse osmosis,
Yes,
that it would filter this chemical out.
yes.
If you go to Whole Foods and get your reverse osmosis water, is that
It should be PFAS free.
PFAS free?
Now, here's the problem with people.
Okay, what's the problem with that?
Nothing with the problem with that, other than where it's manufactured. But I don't want to get into manufacturing and bottled water and that whole industry. But what I will tell you is if you're going to get a reverse osmosis water system at home and you're on a septic system, all you're doing is concentrating the PFAS and putting it in your front yard. Okay, it's not going away. Now with ion exchange resin, it sticks to the resin. It does have to be landfilled or incinerated, so it's not going anywhere. It's just in a block. So, and I don't like incineration for anything, but that's what has to happen with the carbon. The RO membranes that they're using at the factory that makes the RO water that you're buying at a grocery store, those membranes are a whole lot bigger than the ones under your sink.
When you say RO, you
Reverse
mean
osmosis.
reverse osmosis?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I could use a lot of acronyms, and I was in the Army,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we speak in acronyms.
Yeah.
Anyway, the membranes have to be deconstructed and destroyed. They're hazardous waste. Okay, with granular activated carbon, the only thing that's really cool about it is it goes back to reactivation, and the PFAS is destroyed in the process. And what do you have left over? You have a product that you can just reuse. And they estimate that about 10% is lost in each reactivation process. So if you start with 100 pounds and you reactivate it, you end up with 90 back. You're going to always lose about 10% to dust in the atmosphere and the whole process. But at least you get a product with RO membranes and with, and I'm not against it. They all have their applications. But it's not where we want to go with PFAS. We want to catch and kill. We don't want to catch and concentrate and move on to somebody else's problem.
Because as I was mentioning to Erin when we came in, we live in the northeast Georgia mountains.
Mhm.
and in an area called Raven Gap,
Uh-huh.
which is where they concentrated all of their commercial industry, Burlington Carpet Factory, Fruit of the Loom. We are at the headwaters of the Little Tennessee River. And in that valley where we live and where this stuff's been going on for decades, we also have a huge agricultural, fields. We have pesticides, herbicides, fungicides to deal with. I had cancer this past year. I live kind of close, so we get a lot of drift. There's an unbelievable amount of cancer right concentrated in that one area in Raven County, Georgia.
Okay.
And so, as I told Erin, we have a huge thyroid cancer epidemic going
Okay.
on in Raven and 5 surrounding counties that's been going on for a decade. But the state of Georgia did not want to put any budget against finding out what the cause was. In 2019, my husband and I started a chapter of the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. And so we took the county on straight on. We're not environmentalists, we're just citizens, but we live in this area, so our health is certainly at stake.
Sure.
So now we have a compounded problem. We have the PFAS, the PFOAS possibly.
You have detected it? It has been detected?
Oh, yeah, and back when Burlington operated there, they
Yeah,
operated
Burlington.
there for decades.
They do put PFAS in your Fruit of the Loom so that they wash out nice and clean.
Absolutely. So the thing is, the river,
Don't do it, Dennis.
the river turned, back then, I have local people who come and tell me that, they could drive by one day, the river would be red, next day it'd be blue, whatever. They were
Yeah,
dying.
I'm familiar with that.
They're
It's the
dying
dyes, the dyes.
Yeah, so the property is toxic by the Georgia EPD standards, hazardous site list, 25 years, 15 different chemicals in the soil and the water, 10 in the water, 5 in the soil. So we have a lot of proof, and I showed you the notebook. and
Yeah, we'll go
that's
through
just a teeny bit of what we have to share about this area. So Erin, I just want to say, I know Northwest Georgia needs you, but we need you over there.
Okay.
A serious.
Something I will tell you, that, because Ben's not here, I'm gonna step into Ben's shoes for a brief moment in time. Ben's the local lawyer here in the state of Georgia. Some of you have met Ben. What we're gonna say is you are a Georgia county, and there is a class action lawsuit against 3M and DuPont, specifically, not the carpet industry, but 3M and DuPont, so that it picks up Burlington and Fruit of the Loom and all those guys. And it basically represents all counties in the state of Georgia for landfills and wastewater treatment plants and for their PFAS, because the counties are ultimately going to end up eating the bill themselves
That's
to
great.
clean this up. And so Ben and Nick, that if you met them last night, they're actually prosecuting that right now.
Oh, good.
And one of the things in science that we were able to do from that is one of the things that we heard, whether it was Fruit of the Loom, tidy whities, or it was Burlington towels, or Erin's undergarments. Whatever it was, okay, they would put that PFAS in it. And so everybody was saying, how do you know Fruit of the Loom got their PFAS from 3M and DuPont? How do you know Burlington got their 3M and DuPont and stuff like that? Guess what? They left a fingerprint in their technology.
Yes.
And so we're able to go back in. There is no such thing as absolute proof anywhere in this world, but we are 96% absolutely spot on. It's not totes coming in from China. It's not totes coming in from Romania. It's not knockoff chemistry. This stuff came from 3M and DuPont, and it is all over Georgia. Georgia is only second to Texas in number of counties of all 50 states. You have a ridiculous amount of counties here.
Yes.
So-
159.
Huh?
159.
159, counties. That's the only state that has more counties than Georgia is Texas.
But let me
Okay,
say
there's
this.
only 58 in California.
I want you to know that we still have a operating textile mill. It's one of the last textile mills in the country operating. It's called Parkdale. Okay, now Parkdale is headquartered in eastern North Carolina, but they make ubiquitous fabrics where you go, they strip out the stuff from the trees in South America and make the stretchy,
Sure.
junk. And so they literally are right around the corner from where we live. And we've been trying to get on the river upstream to test that water for a while. Of course, that's not legal, so I'm not gonna, no, I don't think so. But anyway, but that place still operates.
We will figure it out and we'll be specific to that county. But I will tell you, we're not everywhere in Georgia yet. I will tell you, there are a dozen carpet manufacturers in Augusta and Savannah. We
Yeah. And
haven't
Columbus,
been able to get
Georgia.
there.
Look at Columbus, Georgia, seriously. I live there.
Speaking of isn't benzene specifically connected to thyroid cancer?
Is what?
Benzene.
Yeah, benzene, yeah.
Yeah,
Benzene.
we have
Thyroid's
benzene,
pretty
that was
easy
one of
to-
the,
Thyroid's pretty
like
easy to shut down.
PFAS.
that chemical that you make famous, that trial,
Pro-6.
that long one.
Yeah.
That was one of the contaminants in this list over there,
Sure.
you know? At the end of the day, after 25 years, they wouldn't delist the property because chloroform's still on the property. But bottom line, that list is available. It's in a lot of the research we have. That notebook is just a fraction of what we have on that area over there. But we need your help. I've got grant money. I'll bring you back.
She's got the book. You're on the list.
Well, I have your information. Ben's gonna have it tonight, so you can
Okay,
expect a phone call
great.
from him, because
Well, we
Bob
gotta-
brought up.
If I can get your email, I can send you more details.
It's really hard. Erin@Brockovich.com.
That's really not really hard.
That is, yeah.
Okay, so
Erin
thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Speaking of the carpet industry, could the chemicals such as House 099, molded biophenol, xylene, liquid caustic that goes into the carpet industry and into the dyeing process? Now, I dealt with those for many, many years. I started having seizures from them in 1997. Could those have anything to do with the PFAS? Because, you know, even though you're supposed to have storages built around your storage tanks, when you wash out your mixing vessels, or they wash out their dye bags or the dyeing system, or putting them right into the sea. Now, you know, my thing is, you know, and I hear all this about the carpet industry saying, well, the chemical companies didn't let us know. We didn't know. Being a superintendent in a chemical company for many years, each and every drum of chemicals that went to any companies, no matter how many times, had an MSDS,
Right.
material safety data sheet, with it, what it could be, what it is, and how to use it. Also, in 1986, the right to know law.
Yep.
And that was supposed to be the chemical companies and the carpet industry. Everybody that had anything to do with that kind of stuff was supposed to be able to alert the people in surrounding areas.
To answer your question, those chemicals aided in the transport of the PFAS. Okay, so like the caustic was designed to prepare the carpet to receive the Stainmaster, okay, or the Scotch Guard. And so those would add to what they call fate and transport. In the environment, though, they're like crack cocaine for bugs. So they eat it up. They love it. They go crazy. Okay. So a lot of those chemicals are gone. That's the natural environment. You know, BTEX. One of the things I think I said last night is I can take a dropper of gasoline, put it in my coffee, and my body's going to get rid of it in 72 hours. Okay. Whereas the PFAS, it's going to be more than 7 years. Okay. So that's what's been the game changer. To put
I
it
was just
simply.
concerned that
Yeah.
could that over a period of time, when you're using those products daily, like we would make carpet carriers,
Sure.
1,000 gallons, 1,500 gallons at a time, and make several batches a day.
Sure.
The molded biophenol had to go in it by hundreds of pounds per day.
Yep.
And the liquid caustic, we use it in about everything we make.
Yep.
And I was just wondering how that could help to contaminate.
It helps. Okay, by way of example, you've all driven past a carpet factory here in Northwest Georgia. Count how many little tin hats are on top of the roofs. Okay, why are they there? Because you worked inside. They're there because they're venting all that crap of chemicals that you're making, right? Okay, the PFAS in and of itself isn't likely, you know, the PFAS wants to go into the material, it wants to go into the fiber, it wants to go into the Scotch guarding activity and stuff like that. But with all the other chemicals, the fate and transport increases because it goes right up right out. You want to know why we're finding it in Blue Ridge Mountains? Because it's leaving those factories in the air. Okay, that's why. And then those roofs. Okay, it hasn't. You know, think of a molecule coming out of a stack in the air. It wants to go like that and land on the roof, and then it gets caught up in with other chemicals, and it can go all the way to the Blue Ridge Mountains. But most of it falls out right on the roof. Then what's it do in Georgia? It rains, and it goes off those roofs. It's super highly concentrated. Goes down to the gutters, into those little gutter ponds, and the little gutter ponds all go down to a little gutter, goes over to a storm pond. It fills up and goes to your house. That's what's happening, and it's happening today. We're getting the
Yeah,
rope, but we'll take her back there, and then she's got to get to Rome. Yes, ma'am.
Reverse osmosis filters, if you're on a septic system, that's really not an option. What is an option if you're on a septic system?
Make sure that you're doing the carbon ahead of the reverse osmosis so that it sucks the PFAS out of the water, and then the RO can take out anything else you want to get rid of. Otherwise, what happens is, so some people will say, okay, I got the 4-chamber. You see the little 4 chambers underneath your sinks and things like that, and they'll never change out their carbon. So the carbon gets exhausted. It goes through reverse osmosis. You're putting PFAS into your septic tank. Keep changing that carbon at the front. That's what you have to do. And make sure it's not, look at it, and it'll say, Acme 13489. Google it, and it'll say Sri Lankan coconut. Okay, what you want to do is you want to Google it and have it say, bituminous coal find out what it is. That's important. So, and it's not hard to find. I get calls from, what's microbreweries, drink manufacturers, bartenders, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And that's what we've learned in the last 8 years. All this material over here works, and all this material over here doesn't.
So it's the coal.
It's the actual type of coal, the base coal. So domestic bituminous coal is what you're going to look for. If it says, Chinese carbon, no.
We live in Somerville. We get 15 gallons of water a month because of this. That's all they give us. What does 15 gallons a month do for a family of 3? It's 5 days worth of drinking water.
Right, it's not.
That's not cooking water. That's not washing our produce water. That's not bathing my child water.
Right.
The reverse osmosis filters are extremely expensive for
Thousands
the
of
everyday
dollars.
person.
Yeah.
And we get 15 gallons of water a month.
Not
That's
enough.
not enough. I have a 3-year-old child. 3-year-olds drink water out of the bathtub. They do. That's just what they do. That is, and not to mention, our skin is our largest organ. Why do we put our skin in it? It's not even really safe for washing your clothes.
Right.
Brushing her teeth. 15 gallons of water a month. That's all we get.
And we still have to pay for contaminated water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's killing us. Eventually, we still pay for.
Well, this is why these meetings are so important. I mean, the information that we learn from you, and how we can help, the information. This guy's a cornucopia of stuff. And again, to give any information that we have to help you better defend and protect yourself. And somebody came up to me and said something. There's multiple prong approaches to this. And we've talked about legislation. It can take a long time. And this is where these litigations come into handy. Again, not everybody likes the lawsuits, and certainly the polluters don't. But it can move a process along and getting us further along into an action where we can begin to have cleanup. So that's why they're here. That's why people are coming to join up. We have to look at their damages, and the lawyers are here, and they can push through litigation some legislation sooner than we want to see it happen. So all of it goes together, every part of it. And so that's why, we're here today. Again, say hello. We had a meeting last night. We're going to have one in Rome. You're welcome to show up anywhere you want in this, but we learn more and more as you do, and how we can provide information that'll help you in the interim. I'm very interested in, I don't see how that happens. That you only get 15 gallons of water a month?
Well, we get all the water we want out of our tap. But part of the class action lawsuit in Somerville, our settlement was 3 5-gallon containers of water from Fontes with a water cooler. That's what we're getting per
Right.
month. 3 5-gallon containers of water. But we can't drink our tap water. When 3 containers are exhausted, what do? We buy it. Who can afford to continue to buy water?
City.
I just paid $10 for 2 things of water at a little convenience store. I kid you not.
Oh, no.
Thing of water about that tall,
Yeah.
all pure in an aluminum container or whatever, $10 for 2 of them. $5 a piece.
You're on city water?
Yes, ma'am.
What's their name?
What's my
Your
name?
municipal.
Oh,
System.
City of Sunrise.
City of Somerville.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We live
That
in
is
Sugar
crazy.
County. Our city has filed a class action lawsuit because of the PFAS. I know that Mount Vernon Mills is one of the defendants and several other, I believe it's DuPont. And so far right now, that's all we're getting. I don't understand how they think that that's enough. That's all that we get though. They offered us a filter from Fontes installed in our kitchen, but those were exhausted very, very fast. They were
Yeah.
no longer an option by the time I was able to sign up.
That's because you're sucking up a large amount of
Right.
contaminant. You have to change filters constantly.
And they only pay for 1 filter. After 1 year, you're responsible for that filter.
And it was exhausted in about three weeks.
And a lot of our water, for the city comes from Raccoon Creek, and Raccoon Creek runs just across the road from our property.
That our pumps come from Raccoon Creek, and Raccoon Creek is what was initially contaminated by sludge from Mount Vernon.
We need to do more testing.
Yeah.
It's taken us 18 months to get it wrong.
And the testing is going on for a long
We're still
time.
back on here.
Well, we live in such a small area that, no big.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people just kind of like overlook us.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we are Chattooga County and it is, you know, one of the counties, but because we're such a small area, a lot of people.
Well, I'm glad you showed up, see, because now we know. And again, that's the important.
Ours
So,
has been going on since before 2020.
yeah.
We've known it was in the water since late 2019 or early 2020. And it's only been since, I believe it was September, that they've started giving us any water that's safe to drink.
But they've been very much on the down low about that. So I'm glad you're here. Like Bob said, somebody's gonna come out and start testing.
On
Yes,
this
ma'am.
lawsuit, since it sounds to me like Raven County qualifies to be in this lawsuit.
Are you
The county
talking about
is, the
the,
county,
on
the
glass?
Ben one. There's 50 different kinds of lawsuits.
Who do I talk to?
Ben.
I told you, I'm gonna give your information to Ben tonight.
Yeah,
Your,
Ben.
your whole
All-
thing you left me,
Yes,
Ben will have tonight.
okay,
The easiest way to explain it is every county in Georgia is in unless they take an action to opt out.
do you have to have permission from the county commissioners to get?
No,
this?
it's
It can
statewide, a statewide class representing all counties within
be
Georgia.
Super, it could be citizen driven,
Well, it's not citizen driven.
I mean, to get into the suit, because if
Yeah.
I have to go to
No,
those
you're in
county
it, you're in
commissioners
it, you're in
who
it.
are already.
You're in it. They have to take
Excellent.
an action to get out of it, okay? And the reason that I'm saying that is for the others that are in the room, is a lot of the counties in this area, Murray County, Catoosa County, a lot of the counties have opted out.
Tuesdays opted out?
They opted out to go direct. No, not in a bad way, in a good way.
They're demonstrating direct and class.
They basically, if they opt out to do an individual case, you're gonna get more money specifically designed for your issue.
Okay.
So their opting out is a good thing, okay? And we are representing the opt-outs. That's what I'm saying. If your county does nothing, they're in with Ben's lawsuit, okay? That's what I'm saying. I can tell you there's 50 different kinds of suits going on in this area, and everybody's a little different.
Okay.
But I will tell you, we represent about 14 counties that have opted out to go what they call direct.
Direct action.
That is the direct. I mean, that's I don't want to say anybody's less smarter, but it's the best way for most counties to go.
Well, and everybody is individual. in a class, everybody is equal, so everybody gets the same dollar figure, but people have different
So-
illnesses, different sizes of properties, et cetera. Hinckley back in the day, if everyone's familiar with that, was a drought, not a class.
And so Somerville, they are part of the class, okay? They're still doling that money out. You're gonna get pennies on the dollar from that one, okay? But Rome, Dalton, Chatsworth, a lot of the cities around here, Calhoun, they opted out of that lawsuit and went direct, and Rome got 200 million bucks, or just shy of 200 million bucks, which was smart, yeah. Oh, and they're building one of the best water treatment plants in the United States right now.
Oh, that's great.
So this is gonna be fairly expensive for smaller counties with less population.
And they didn't opt out, so they're gonna get less money, and yeah, it's not gonna be as, so that's why if it's appropriate, you opt out. So with Catoosa, they opted out, we represent them, and we're gonna have a very direct,
Well, if
a designer lawsuit.
Catoosa gets their water from a spring, isn't that less contaminated, or can it be just as contaminated?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the water side, this is the landfill, the wastewater side.
He's asking about springs, can they be less?
Yeah.
Oh, no, springs, I can actually walk on people's property right now, and the drinking water well, 0, and the spring, 30,000 parts.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 10-acre property, so it's corner to corner.
Yeah.
But that spring can be coming from way over here and coming up,
Yeah, but
and the groundwater well could be sitting in a hole all by itself. The one thing about Northwest Georgia, your geology is the most challenging around. You're a little bit crazier even than Maine. Maine's like dealing with, dental work on a shark, okay? You guys are worse than that.
Where do you see the northeast side?
Yeah, you get up in the Blue Ridge, it's a nightmare. You'll have a fracture that you just don't know where it's going.
We have earthquakes up there and all kinds of stuff.
You're giving us the hook. Doug gave me the hook 30 minutes ago, so we
Yeah.
are really in trouble now. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
well, no,
Thank
so
you.
I'm glad you came. I mean, this is what I love to do. Stir that pot a little. Lots of
You ever get
information.
death
They,
you ever get death threats for this?
I used to, out in Hinckley all the time.
The big money is, if you watch the movie.
But you know what? That only happens in movies. So
That's
I
just
never
a movie.
worry about it,
Yeah, that's
yeah. So I haven't worried about it. But usually the community at large is involved. They'll deal with that in the court of law. There's multiple prong approaches, and we're here and we're starting to put everything into it.
Well, I can tell
You
you,
all are doing that.
I need to learn a whole lot more. Because I can
There's a lot to learn. I know.
Chemistry,
Yes, and Bob is best at it. Again, it's engaging certain questions and pulling it out of Kim to start learning information that I want you all to go home and have a nugget that you can apply to your own life as we go through the process.
But your job is to be the big cheerleader and put it,
I'm the agitator.
Yeah, we want to go see Erin Brockovich, but she's
I'm
Erin
the
Brockovich.
Can you hold
agitator.
this so that my husband can take a picture?
Sure. Come on in. So thank you for coming.
No,
Okay, here you go.
Oh,
Erin, here you go. Okay.
one arm. Is it upside down? No, it's upside down.
No, we're good. Got it? Got both of us? Got both of us?
all right.
Got it?